Before we get into Bravest Warriors,
Yes.
because I love that, we came on. I invited John and Dominic on specifically for this breakdown, and obviously, to promote Bravest Warriors. But I waited to do this breakdown for this episode.
Yes,
we are, and I know it's been going on for a while, ladies and gentlemen, breaking down Avengers: Infinity War, and a chill goes across the room.
I don't want to go. I don't want
to go there.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it yet, spoilers, and what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Spoiler warning.
But before, I don't even know where to start this breakdown off, guys.
I called my mother today, and she was just walking out of the theater. I was wishing her happy Mother's Day, and she's like, "Man, just walked out of the movie. Boy, oh boy." And I'm like, "Yeah, a lot of death."
Well, at least you still have a mother after what Thanos did. So,
yeah.
Too soon? Too soon? No,
I like that. That was great.
I love you, Mom.
Happy Mother's Day, ladies out there.
Yes, we were recording this on Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Love you. Thank you for putting up with our shit. But back to Infinity War, guys. I mean, like, a summary doesn't even do it justice. I'm going to just go ahead and assume that we all, and everyone listening, has seen it or heard enough to know exactly some of the points that we're talking about. What did you guys think? Good, bad? I mean, obviously, I think, everyone thought it was mostly good, but what elements, what stood out to you? What did you like? What did you not like?
I thought it was interesting that they tried very hard to make Thanos not look like a bad guy.
Yes.
That they were like,
great.
Look, he's honestly just trying to make the universe a better place for everyone, but he can't do it for everyone.
They humanized him.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, I get it. It makes sense. Why, the tenacity, I don't think really got through, but it's very interesting to see the. It would have been easy to be like, oh, there's a big bad monster trying to take everyone down, but they really tried to make that work.
No, well, I think. And you're right, because I think where superhero movies and hero stories in general often fail is they're one-dimensional villains.
Yes.
It's like I'm bad and I'm going to do bad things because I'm bad and end of the story. And I think that's where a lot of the times, a lot of the criticisms towards the MCU have been towards most of the villains. I mean, people really liked Killmonger and Black Panther a lot. And Thanos is really well done. And that's, I think, the villains that we relate with the most are the ones that can understand where they're coming from.
Well, I think, at least I did. I'm not going to speak for everyone else, but I would bet a vast majority of the people watching that movie went through it and were like, well, I see his point. I can see where he's coming from. Or if not, you could be like, oh man, it takes so much to, murder your thing that you love, your daughter, and as a sacrifice to better the whole universe is what his whole philosophy is. So on one hand, you're like, damn, that's cold. And the other part is, well, maybe he is trying to make it better. Just for the record, I disagree with him on all principles. But, the humanization of that character was great.
Yeah. The way he went about it was painful. I think it was an interesting view on if you want to make any changes, people get hurt. I think, and that is a very, I don't want to get political with it, but that was a very political movie about if you're going to do something for someone, somebody else suffers. And so it's just and it was instead of having to drag that out over X amount of time, he's like, I'm just going to do it at the snap of a finger. And I was like, I understand. That's really messed up and you can't do that, but I understand. It was a very rough movie.
And he called it mercy.
And he called
it. Yeah.
Well, and that it just makes sense. And I was just like, oh God, this movie is really good. Oh my goodness. And I liked how the characters all worked with it. I wish I would have seen I'm surprised we didn't see more of the other superheroes side with him. Because I feel like he would have rallied some support in that cause, because he was so passionate about this one enterprise, and I feel like the people Loki specifically, I felt like was a kind of an out of a place death in the beginning of the movie. Sorry, spoilers, but we're past that point now.
Yeah.
I felt like he would have been trying to secure his place on the side that doesn't get evaporated.
Yeah,
we saw that for a moment.
Well,
right?
He was out for himself.
Yeah.
He was out to do whatever the fuck he wants.
To kill him with Thanos punches out the Hulk, and he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stab him right in the heart, right in front of his face. And I was like, okay, this is a bit.
Well, do you think he's really dead? I mean, I know Thanos said no resurrections this time, but do you think it's a trick, or do you think he's dead?
So. I think everybody that's dead right now is dead right now. I think that I'm sure that we'll do. I mean, I'm sure we'll get some time stone action and it'll go back.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, man. Yeah. I mean, just what they did with Vision. They set it up right there before they actually killed everyone. It was almost like an answer to this problem that's been created.
Yeah.
Tony will figure something out.
Well, he has to. Isn't that your theory? Like,
well, it's because Strange gave up the time stone, so Thanos wouldn't kill Tony. So it's got to come down to Tony somehow. And back to your point about how getting people over to his side, I guarantee you, because remember he was like Stark, and he's like, you know me? He's like, I too am cursed with knowledge. So I'm sure we'll get like a true sit down between them. Because Tony Stark is someone who could very possibly see things from Thanos's perspective. Whereas Cap is like the never is it okay to sacrifice one life even if you're saving.
I felt like that was a bit. I mean, they needed it. They needed someone like that. And Captain would say that.
We don't trade lives.
We don't trade lives.
Yeah, it's like a opposing philosophy sort of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get that conversation between like a real philosophy.
You know what's interesting is that was his last movie that he was contracted to do. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you're right.
And so there's a very real chance that we won't get him back in another one. I'm sure they'll bring him back because there's no way you're going to turn down X $1 million. So he got offered when he first initially signed on to the MCU. That's what we're calling he signed on for X amount of movies. And he's done X amount of movies. I thought for sure they were going to kill him off. And then Bucky was going to take his place because he's got a huge order of movies, like a huge obscene amount of.
And he wants to direct now more, I think, too.
Oh, really? So they'll probably give him to that'll probably be how he gets them. But when they killed Bucky off, I was like, okay, now I'm like, wait, what? What is happening? What is like that? That was the biggest shock because I thought for sure Captain was dying.
Well, because they skirted it in Civil War, which in the comics he died at the end of Civil War.
Honestly, that's why I loved Captain America was because he was the most mortal out of all the superheroes. Like he dies and gets replaced.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Captain America is not a superhero. He is an icon, essentially for the people. Yeah, a symbol of hope, essentially. And I was like, oh, I love this.
Well, and then in the trailer, they know what they were doing. And I talk about the Russo brothers' genius, because if you go back and you look at the trailers, they showed us stuff that actually wasn't in the movie. They showed us Hulk charging down the field in Wakanda, and
they did it on purpose.
He never had the Hulk come back out. They played with our emotions.
They talked about that in an interview. Yeah, I saw like a behind the scenes where they broke down a whole scene, the scene in the Guardians where Thor comes in. They broke that down, but they were in the conversation. They said, "Oh yeah, we wanted to throw the fans for a loop because why wouldn't wouldn't they?"
And they definitely held that image of Captain.
Oh yeah,
being like about to be crushed, and he's like, "Rrr," and I was like, "There's no way you're gonna out."
I'll tell you what, I knew people were going to die, and going into this movie, I 100% thought Captain was going to die.
I really did. I thought that was going to be the emotional, leave off. But then, I don't know. I wasn't expecting
he's got to come back, because now the story is going to be, Captain, it was you that was the cause of him succeeding. You were the reason. Because you said you wouldn't trade one life, that this all happened.
Well, I'm sure.
If you would have just said, okay, and what does that do to you when you're like, I am the cause of half, because he's going to feel responsible, because that's
why he had that line.
The last line. Yeah, correct.
The last line was, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because he knew.
Yeah. Oh, that movie was so good.
That's actually that's a good point.
That was so good.
Yeah.
It took me out of, I was taken out of belief when they killed off Black Panther, though.
Well, I think he's gonna.
Been so popular.
I think he's gonna come back, and
that's the thing. But that if he didn't die, if everybody else around him was, because we know that there is another Black Panther movie coming, we know that. So when he died, I was like, oh well, they're all coming back, obviously.
Well, Spider-Man has a sequel already.
I saw them filming Spider-Man 2 after I watched one of the Infinity movies, one of the second times that I saw, and I was like, Whoa, wait.
Well, also
What's-
there are multiple like dimensions of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we don't know what will the fourth movie be? Like, what will they set up? Will they just reset it?
Can we?
I think we're going into another universe, like
Can
one
we-
of Doctor Strange's, honestly.
Have you guys heard of Marvel versus Zombies?
No.
I've seen some.
Is this
of the
like
zombies.
Pride
Once
and
we start-
Prejudice versus
no,
zombies?
No, because once we start jumping into different dimensions, like basically the Fantastic Four find a way to open the portal to another dimension.
Is there a new
And one
Fantastic
dimension
Four?
is
They
one of
acquired
those.
Fox.
Yes, they just. And one of the dimensions is like zombies. So like when the zombies eat a superhero, they get the superpower. So they become like this super zombies. It's very.
Marvel's
Is the MCU
first, like, the
turning
first,
into like Rick and Morty, where we're gonna have multiple?
I mean, it could,
universes?
That's
though.
what I feel like they might set up, because if they're smart enough, and Phage has done a really good job. Like if they set it up in a way where it's like, okay, now we're gonna look at it from a lens of like the multiverse. So
Yeah.
these stories can be told in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what they'll set up.
I mean, it would be another like threat that everybody has to deal with. Do you know what I mean? Because like at this point, we're getting to like, where do you go?
Yeah, Thanos, yeah, what
Killing
can you
half the
do?
people in the universe.
Like honestly, I'm surprised that we didn't get Galactus, because they ruined Galactus in the first.
They did him all wrong. They made
Yeah.
him a black smoke monster. Yeah, that was awful.
But-
well, isn't Warlock coming too?
He's
gonna
coming
be
in the third Guardians, which is also coming out, which begs the
Right.
question if Gamora's death will stick as well.
R.I.P. in peace. That's my girl, Zoe. So sad.
Yeah, I love. She's so good in that.
Yeah, she was great.
I love that they made her kind of like they gave Scarlett Johansson her moments, but Gamora was definitely the female lead of that movie.
Her scene with Thanos, I think that was one of the darkest things Marvel's really done.
In which one? Where?
When he got the Soul Stone, when he had
That's pretty rough.
when she had that realization that it was her.
Well, wasn't the movie not rated?
No,
What?
It had no way.
you can't.
Really?
I don't know. Fact check that.
Can movies not be rated?
No,
Yeah, they can be unrated.
Really?
they can't get fucking global distribution under Disney for Marvel. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, because so many people died. Like, and there was so much death in that movie.
They didn't die. They just disappeared.
Yeah. Well, that's what the other running.
A
the
couple
other
people
running
died.
theory is that they're not actually dead, and like because one of the only stones
Maybe he just moved
that
them
they,
to another
one of
place.
the only stone that they really didn't show like how its power manifests is the Soul Stone. And in the comics now, it wasn't always this way since the stones
Okay.
have been around, but everyone thinks that everyone's soul went into the Soul Gem. So it's like the whole half the universe's being is like in the Soul.
It is the biggest stone.
Yeah.
That's why it's on the top of his hand too,
Yeah,
right?
is it the one right
And it's
there?
the
If
most
you could-
costly to get.
If you could have one of those stones, what one would you have and why?
Reality.
Reality stone.
The reality stone was the most badass thing that I saw. I was into
I mean,
that.
I would just be fucking around with that all day. But I don't know, man. I'm a big fan of Doctor Strange, so if I can learn how to use the time stone like he does, I'd
I'd be
probably go
scared
with
to
that.
use the time stone, I think.
I would. I'd just like jump back and be like, "Oh, fuck this up. Redo it again."
And we're back. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a pretty crazy. Man, all of them. I don't know what the Soul Stone actually does though.
Well, that's what I think we're gonna discover. Originally in the comic books, it was kind of like a almost like a heart sort of thing, like to kind of control like the emotions of people. But they've kind of turned in the comic books, they've turned it into almost like it's its own pocket dimension that harbors souls and everything like that. So they're thinking that maybe everyone's just kind of like
In the
spirit
purgatory
sucked
type
into
of-
like this
type of-
purgatory, and they're not really dead, but.
Oh,
Who
that
knows?
would be interesting. And they're like, if we're in another dimension, how do we get to the other side? We know that we're physically here. Can we make it? Dude, they should have killed
when
out.
Marvel goes Stranger Things.
It'd be interesting. I mean, the thing is, they can do anything that they want. They can do anything.
They've set it up that way.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I really liked everything about the Guardians that was inserted into this movie, because every time you cut to a scene, especially when the scene was just focused on them, the whole dynamic of the film changed. There's a background track of popular music, or
Yeah,
some-
Rubber Band Man
Yeah,
played.
rubber fucking band man played with, like, Jesus, that's awesome. And also the color patterns. If you look at the frame ups, it's all bright, it's comical, it's light, so it added like this levity to the whole movie in some of these tense parts that Marvel pulls off really, really well. You gotta give them credit for that. And one of the things that I'll take from Kevin Smith that I heard him say, it was a good point, is Marvel doesn't take themselves too seriously, unlike some other comic books that are very, oh my God, this is the end of the world,
Our good friend Deadpool's gonna make fun of that in his next movie.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait for that either.
So, do you think Deadpool will be in the next one?
I honestly thought he
That
was
would be
gonna be in
fucking
this
dope.
one. I genuinely thought he was gonna be in this one.
Well, they
because
didn't
Ryan
acquire
Reynolds
it
tweeted
by then.
something.
Oh yeah, they didn't have.
They didn't have it by then. They got it now.
Oh, dude,
But they already filmed it. They already
I'm
fucking
sure they
filmed
did a
the second
pickup.
one.
I
so-
guarantee you there's a nod to the Avengers thing.
Well, no, Avengers is
In the
already filmed. The
commercials-
Deadpool they can do whatever. They're
Deadpool
more
already
flexible.
makes a nod to it in the commercials.
Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds released like a thing on his Instagram or something about him Deadpool applying to the Avengers and getting denied by Tony.
That was one of their marketing bits. But like, how hilarious and meta would it be if, like, for 1 second, as like a post-credit scene for Avengers 2, it's like Deadpool and Cable, and like it's like Cable and Thanos. He Brolin, right? Opposite, I don't know. Like, they could do silly shit like that with Deadpool. I don't know if they could get away with that silly with Avengers, because there's more of a set, like, I don't know, set
just
plan, set
fishing.
line.
Dude, so at the end of the next one, because the second part 2 is probably the final.
Yeah, it is the final. I thought
It's
there
the
was
final-
3, but
it's the final Avengers, but there's gonna be more.
Why are they stopping the Avengers?
Well, I don't know. It's just like what you've been saying about like Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and all their contracts. They're definitely gonna stop after the next.
Oh no!
Like, we won't have them anymore.
You can't do the
So,
Avengers.
Disney doesn't-
I don't know.
by
But they
the
could do
way-
a new Avengers like with Spidey and like a few other different people.
by the
Hawkeye.
way, so everyone knows out there, Disney, with the exception of Robert Downey Jr. and maybe 1 or 2 others, Disney does not pay their Marvel superheroes as much as you think they do. They don't on purpose, and it's on contract. You can go look up the figures, but most of the reason why a lot of well-known celebrities do these parts is because of the exposure for relevance, and it increases their value as an actor for other projects. Like, the whole reason Chris Pratt got $10 million for Jurassic World was because he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Wouldn't have done that. Like, so it's a matter of price thing, because Disney and Marvel are, from a business standpoint, are like, look, we know this is going to be a hit. You can join it and be a part of it, or not, and take it or leave it. And most everyone's going to be like, well, yeah, let's do it, obviously. And so I think that there's this, like, a lot of confusion, because all we see is the headlines about, like, how much Iron Man made, how much, that franchise has made. And even now with Avengers, what is it, over at $1 billion worldwide, Bill 5 right now or something like that? It was like 400 domestic and 900 international or some shit. Those numbers are crazy when you're talking about, okay, you got how many celebrities, like B-list celebrities are in this movie? 20?
I mean,
10 mil a piece? Yeah. I mean, that's 20% of your profit right there is just, fucking paying your actors, not to mention all the filming, the posts, and like, it's got the bill for this fucking movie alone, it's got to be 100.
I think
just in the tech stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think the only people who got a substantial amount for this movie are RDJ and Scarlett Johansson, because she's a top billed actress right now. I read that she got paid a lot, even though she had such a small part in the movie.
I mean, honestly though, everybody had their moment.
They gave everyone their moment.
And I thought they did that very well.
Groot's I was like, when is Groot gonna come into play? And then he did, and I was like, holy shit, this is it. That's how he comes into play.
I was grabbing Devin by the shoulder when when Thor ported in. He was like, "Bring me Thanos!" Like, I was like,
This is a point I brought up after I bring up Groot. I was like, okay, so Groot just disappeared right at the end. Well, did his fucking arm on that axe disappear? Because, like, I was like, maybe is it not him anymore and it's permanent on that weapon, or what? Because I guess we'll find out. But I was
know what? You know how I would argue that now it is a god weapon,
right?
That
makes
it's not
sense.
affected by the things that, like,
it's not living anymore either. So it's all living things in the universe.
I don't know if any of you saw this tweet, but the voice actor who plays Groot said that his last line was "Dad" when he saw Rocket.
Is it still played?
It's still Vin Diesel, is it?
Still Vin Diesel?
It is Vin Diesel.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Even when it's alternate voice.
I don't know.
It wasn't
But
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel's
I think
expensive as
something
shit
like
now,
that.
I
too.
think it was the director that said that was the last thing that he said.
That's what it was.
Like that was what Groot was saying.
To
And-
Rocket.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, fucking, maybe they'll just
That makes
redo the Guardians as the next group of different heroes. Vin Diesel's expensive as shit now, too.
Yeah.
Fucking Fast and the Furious Mongol over there. God damn.
We can only wish for a Fast and the Furious.
Yo, I'm not hating, bro. You got those checks. I'll be a Fast and Furious all day. You'll cast me?
That's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
Fast and
No.
Furious franchise. Yeah.
They got a bunch of rides now at Universal, so they got to make sure those rides stay.
What how about motherfucking cliffhanger at the like this is why they bring everybody down with the murder of half the universe and fucking Thanos, and you're just sitting there like, oh god damn it, now what? And then Fury at the end bringing it home, motherfucker, and Captain Marvel. Like, I am freaking out, so stoked about this Captain Marvel movie.
I don't know anything about Captain Marvel.
Oh.
I
Dom, go in.
That was not a superhero that I ever like followed.
Me neither until recently, until I knew how significant she is.
So I know there have been so many iterations of characters over the years. So I know there's someone out there that's probably nerdier than me that's going to call in and correct me on this.
Really quickly, before we dive into this, was the red guy who was with the Soul Stone, is that the Red Devil
Skull.
from...
Yes.
Yeah. Red
Okay.
Skull.
I
However,
Red Skull.
interestingly enough, Hugo Weaving did not do the voice.
No.
Like he did when he performed and he was so great as the Red Skull. But you know,
But if it was only for that cameo, I'm like, all right, I get it.
and he's not about like those big things. Like I've heard interviews about him talk about being Agent Smith, Megatron, Red Skull. He's not that. He's like, yeah, it's just a job. Very interesting. A brilliant actor, but he's not like, he doesn't get hyped on the nerdy stuff. So
Lame.
Hugo.
They're like, you know who that voice actor is though? That did the Red Skull this time? He's probably freaking out. He's like, guess what I just did?
Yeah.
He did a good job. It sounded like
Yeah.
whoever he did was great impression. But anyway, real quick. So Captain Marvel, one of the most powerful superheroes in the Marvel universe. She's kind of like the Marvel universe's Superman. She can survive in the depths of space. She can fly. She's super fast, super strong, shoots laser beams out of her eyes. The whole 9 yards. And originally, Captain Marvel was a male character, and it comes from the Kree. Are you familiar with like the Kree? They're an alien race in the Marvel universe that the Avengers fight plenty, and they're like the blue aliens. Ronan the Accuser in the first Guardians of the Galaxy,
that's right.
he's a Kree. They come on S.H.I.E.L.D. a lot. They fuck with the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a lot. But it's Kree technology that basically just makes her like think about a Captain America, but like times 100 for the universe. Like she can just do almost anything. And Kevin Feige has said that she is going to play a huge role in the next Infinity War.
Does she get her own movie before?
She does.
Yeah.
So she's
March.
Yeah, in March of next year, like 2 months before the next
They're
Avengers.
a machine. They are a machine, and they know how to do
Fucking
it.
Ant-Man and Wasp is this summer.
Yes, and they're both going to be set. Captain Marvel is going to be set in the 90s. We're also getting Clark Gregg back as Agent Phil Coulson for the first time in a movie.
Yeah.
Since he did the original run of the first 5
Wait, he's doing
movies.
his own movie?
No, he's going to be in Captain Marvel as
Oh,
like a
yeah.
representative of S.H.I.E.L.D., like young Agent Phil Coulson. So
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D., they haven't renewed S.H.I.E.L.D. yet, and it's really late. So I don't know if S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming back. But anyway.
No way they can't, though. I think it would be really good if they got S.H.I.E.L.D. and they started wiping people out on the show. And then
Well, that's
kept
what
it,
I'm saying.
kept
What a
it
good
in line
cliffhanger.
with what's going on right now because you could get away with that, especially on a show like that.
It's happening. I mean, they're talking about the events in New York and Wakanda. It only has 1 episode left in this season, and it's good. And I'm hoping like we get like a stinger at the end where it's like they're like did this mission for the season and then half the team just dissipates into ash. Fucking awesome.
Oh, dude, that would be so. Well, that would get people to watch the show, and then it's just that it's the machine, man. The fact that they're like, all right, you want to know how we sell a movie? We get people excited about a specific character, like Captain Marvel. bam, her movie is going to make $1 billion now because everybody's going to be like, who is coming to save the day?
Yeah, exactly.
And then oh man, it's so good.
Well, this is another reason why it's like Black Panther ain't dead. They're gonna rewrite some shit because that's too big of a paycheck, man. There's no way.
Yeah, or they bring back Killmonger, and then they're like, oh, and you are now the Black Panther.
Well, that's why. I really don't know. What are the implications? Like, is it gonna be a simple reset, or will we get like? Will it be a way for them to set up different variations of the characters?
Like they go back in time. They they pull it back and they go back, and then it's just like, oh, Thor is different. Everybody's different, but they're all the same.
What if it goes
all new
back?
Actors?
What if it gets reset before Tony became Iron Man, and then they can retell those stories again? They can use the same actors if they want. They can use different actors if they want. Like.
That makes sense. And we were talking about this because
they're setting it up to make the case.
Well, yeah, think about it. MCU started with Iron Man and Tony Stark. Like, that's where the popularity of this franchise, movie-wise, came.
First Iron Man was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
We were not expecting that movie.
He was perfect. Yeah,
he was perfect, and it was great. And then now they're setting up the conclusion to all these. What is it, 18 movies in 10 years or some shit like that? All the culmination of this. It's now implied that it's all relying on Tony to fix it. So it almost could just be like, okay, what if Tony made different choices and went back and didn't make weapons, didn't build the Iron Man suit, and knew what was going to happen, and maybe like when Thor's hammer comes, he just grabs that shit and throws it right back up to the universe or some shit. He could. There's a million ways, but as a structure wise, it would make sense. Especially think about it, Infinity War.
Yeah, infinite.
It's going infinite, and I have a feeling that the next Avengers, the part 2, is going to be called Infinite Avengers.
That would
make the most sense.
Title.
Well, I don't know.
So they're all about the synergy now, and I don't know, John, if you keep up with the comics at all, if you have time, because I know you're so busy. But like, they're in the crossover event they're doing right now is, it's called Infinity Wars.
Like with a Z?
Plural. Oh. With a Z. Wars.
Is it not called Infinity
Dragon Ball
Wars?
Z just like comes.
It's called, the movie's called Infinity War. The comics are called Infinity Wars.
Because I know it is Infinity Wars. And so I was like, that would make a lot of sense if it was just a loop.
They're pulling in multiple stones from multiple iterations of different universes. So I feel like if they're going to do synergistic stuff,
what if they go
in the
to other
comics and
dimensions to
movies,
try to make their own Infinity Gauntlet to fight his?
Yeah,
that would be
pretty dope.
See, but what happens if he just is like, you know what? Like they get to the point where they're about to kill him, and then they're like, the damage is done. And the world is a better place. Let's just destroy the gauntlet and be done with it.
We could see the Ultimate Universe, I think. What if we finally got to see Donald Glover as Miles Morales? He's in Solo this summer, in-house in Disney.
I don't know.
But I'm saying they could just show a flash of it.
Have we been good as a species to deserve it? Is the real question. And I don't think that we are in a place. We are not advanced.
He's Simba. He's already there.
Yeah,
he's
the voice
Simba.
of Simba. Shout out my man Donald.
Dude, you know that this very well could happen. I didn't even think about that being
Beyonce.
They're all in the same house too. It's right now. Everything's Disney's taking over the world. It's Disney and Netflix. That's the next cartoon parody we should do. Shout out to any animators out there. Give me a Disney versus Netflix. Just the logos going at it. That's all I want. Just the companies.
Disney and Netflix.
Yeah.
Have you seen the meme of like it's Mickey Mouse holding the Infinity Gauntlet, and it's like Fox, Marvel, Star Wars. Like, and I was like,
that is awesome.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
That's really good.
That's pretty. Yeah, but he's got all of them. And he's like.
Skitbags Radio.